Hi everyone. My talk is quick and high level. And the tools and ideas that I'm talking about, they have been around for some time. But I think sometimes we may not be aware of something because we are in it. I think collectively they're part of like an emerging paradigm. So we have been at this blockchain thing for a while now, right? And what we have been saying to ourselves for a long time now is that grandma is coming on chain any minute now. But obviously, we can all agree that she hasn't. She's not here. And we can't blame that on scalability, because that has been solved. That has been solved already, so we can't use that excuse anymore. So things are getting awkward, I think. And I think we have to come to the realization that grandma is not coming. We have to go to her. Grandma is not coming on chain anytime. Not now, not ever. And the thing is, in my view, the blockchain, what we call the blockchain, has been isolated. Has been really isolated from the real world. People will bring in oracles, but I think oracles are not it. Oracles cannot possibly support everything. They can't oracleize private data. And obviously, also, they come with a garden variety of assumptions, which defeats the whole purpose. We are all here to disintermediate things, not to insert new intermediaries. So oracles are not it. But programmable cryptography may finally be the thing that removes some of these barriers. So with the advances in proof systems, for example, we can take anything now that has a signature and just shove it in a circuit, and then we use it. And what we are now able to do is what I think of as recycling and repurposing of any and all cryptographic artifacts, whether they're coming from the blockchain or coming from Web2. We can now recycle them, repurpose them, and extend the life of them into fresh new use cases. We also have new primitives, and these have been around, as I said, for a while, for grouping, signalings, and many other things. But they have existed in isolation, and mainly, I think, it's because of this barrier, this isolation from the real world. You can create an anonymous group with super resistance, but on its own, it's not really that interesting. What are you going to do? You created a group, you're part of a group, now what do? You need something, it needs to be part of a whole experience. Obviously, we have the advances in proof systems now. Regular expression should not come as a surprise that we can prove it in circuits, and some excellent developers have done exactly that. And since emails have patterns that we can describe with regular expressions, and they also have a signature coming from a private key that belongs to a certain entity that we can verify publicly, together we can get something called ZK email. So you can get a proof that I have received an email from a certain organization or something. And with that simple primitive, you can do a lot of things. In fact, you will be surprised by how many use cases you can do with just this primitive. We have semaphore, which has been there for a while, but again, I think it hasn't been used to its full potential because it lacked an environment in which it can grow as a seed. Anonymous grouping and signaling. You can signal and vote on multiple things in a fully anonymous and without double signaling. The same way that we in Zcash they prove you cannot double spend a note. You use a nullifier. You can do that as well here. If the voting is high stakes, you can use a tool called Macy, which has been iterated upon many times, and get some excellent features like collusion resistance. So basically, if you vote for someone, you have possibly no way of proving to anyone else what you have voted for. So if someone bribed you, you can take the bribe, but still vote for your conscience, for example. Now, these things can already in between themselves without looking at the outside picture and some of the things that I'll talk about. You can already take some of them and use them in a useful ways between each other. So Semaphore could be a gatekeeper for Macy, and ZK email itself can be a gatekeeper for Semaphore. So you have to have received an email in order to join the Semaphore and so on. In fact, I should mention the gatekeeping feature itself. There is a whole new project at PSC that is launched this week just around this idea of creating as many, a garden variety of gatekeepers, but also allowing you to create your own gatekeeping. And then we have also MPTLS, which has been gaining some traction. There is a bunch of projects working on it. Basically, you log into your bank, and the TLS session is split between you and a verifier or a notary. And the neat thing is that the verifier doesn't need to know the content or the server identity, but you can still prove to them part of the data. Obviously, that comes with some trust assumption in the notary if you're using it rather than verifying directly. And the performance, you have to be mindful of the performance as well of the MPC, but it's usable. And some of the new emerging projects are improving upon that idea. And finally, the ZK coprocessors. Obviously, my friend was just talking about Lagrange. We can now recycle and repurpose historical cryptographic artifacts from the blockchain. So something happened in the blockchain a long time ago. The blockchain state or contracts do not have access to them, but we can reuse previous truths, basically. I won't speak too much about this because I'm sure you're already familiar with it, but the exciting thing about the coprocessor is how different approaches have emerged. People are coming at this from different directions. And you know, one of the things that we heard over the past year is that we have enough infrastructure. We don't need any more infrastructure. We need apps. We need people to come. We need use cases. But actually, this is one area where I think we need more. We need more. Not to mean we need more projects and so on. Yes, we need more projects, but we need more people to think about abstraction. How do we abstract the chains? How do we create the right abstraction? So if you are a software developer or architect, I think this is one of the most exciting areas you could be looking at. Obviously, ZK coprocessors do not have to be limited to historical blockchain facts. You can use them or integrate them as well with proofs from Web2, from artifacts from Web2. And together, they can start creating a collective, a holistic, non-trivial, and fresh experience. Yeah. So one of the ways we can reuse or recycle, repurpose some of the things is Discord. Like in Discord, a lot of us exist on Discord. We have roles, we have communities. So you can prove that you have a certain Discord role, and based on that, you are giving certain tokens that you can vote or allocate to someone, and that voting could happen through Macy for collusion resistance. And to start voting to begin with, you would have to have a ZK email proof that you are part of the organization, or a ZK email that you use to join a signal group. So this use case alone, giving appreciation tokens to colleagues, you can see that it already employs all of these primitives together. Obviously, this is a simple example, but just to drive home the idea that the whole is extremely exponentially larger than the sum of the individual parts. Semaphore in its own is really not that interesting. It's only when you integrate it with other things. Because this is the lightning talk, I didn't have time to go through all of them, but you'll have them on the slides. There are so many. There are at least 36 projects, some of them proof of concept, some of them actually in production now. The folks at ZKPTP are creating marketplaces from only one primitive, which is the ZK email, which is exciting. So there's a bunch of projects there to look at. So all of these, what I have talked about right now, I mentioned at the beginning of the talk that we might be part of something, but we are not aware of it. And I think all of this together, looked at together, the recycling and repurposing of cryptographic artifact is sort of like here in the middle. It's happening in the middle. And they coexist with other also exciting things, the lower level things like pre-confirmation markets and the super building and all of that. And so what if I may speculate, like what I think is going to emerge over the next years is that this middle is going to get much, much, much larger than what it is now. And what we have previously thought of as the blockchain, I think is going to, go a bit further to the back. Blockchains will be similar to what, the relevance to the average developer will be the same as the relevance of database management system. Not all developers are writing SQL stored procedures or things like that. So this layer, I speculate that is going to get much, much larger, and this is one of the reasons why I say ZK processing. We need a lot more projects, a lot more ways of abstracting things, a lot more out-of-the-box things that people use. If you look at the ZK coprocessors, you will notice that some of them, they try to provide out-of-the-box solution in their SDKs for things like D5, for example. So now, if you're familiar with the Uniswap v4, for example, they have hooks, and there is nothing stopping this hook from consuming an off-chain computed zero-knowledge proofing something about the history or the track record of this address. So this guy is an OG. We're going to give you a discount to trade on our DEX and things like that. So this is something like projects like Previs is doing, for example. Yeah, this is the same thing. So we'll soon think of smart contract developers. Even I would even say that smart contract development itself is going to go all the way in the back, and most developers will be dealing with this big here, which is something like the equivalence of Lambda functions and cloud solutions. So this is the bazaar cloud of the blockchain compared to Cathedral, Google Cloud, or Amazon, or so on. So yeah, with that, I included a link, but I think I forgot in this slide. I'll find me after if you want a link to the slides, but that's my talk, and thank you.
Thank you.